the world of music, very few artists have managed to stay relevant across 6 decades, but one man with a voice as unmistakable as gravel mixed with honey has done just that. Sir Rod Stewart, the London-born rocker with Scottish roots, has sold over 250 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling artists in history. From the gritty clubs of London to sold-out stadiums across the globe, from folk ballads to disco hits, Rod Stewart has done it all. He is the embodiment of rock star charisma, known for his wild lifestyle, iconic fashion, and a voice that can move millions. But behind the fame, there's a story of resilience, reinvention, and a man who never stopped chasing music even when critics doubted him. This is the story of Rod Stewart, the rock legend's story. Rod Stewart was born on January 10, 1945, in Highgate, North London. The youngest of 5 children, his father was Scottish, and his mother was English, giving him a unique cultural mix that would later influence his style and personality. Before music, Rod's first love was football. He dreamed of becoming a professional player and even had trials with Brentford Football Club, but fate had other plans. While his passion for football never disappeared, it was the lure of music that would change his destiny. As a teenager, he picked up the banjo and harmonica, eventually teaching himself guitar. His influences were a mix of American rock and roll, rhythm and blues, and British skiffle music. He wasn't born with a polished voice, in fact. His raspy tone came from years of singing on the streets, battling colds, and sheer persistence. In his early years, Rod worked odd jobs from grave digging to painting just to survive, all while chasing his musical dreams. By the early 1960s, he was playing in small London clubs, busking at train stations, and slowly making a name for himself. Rod's first real break came when he joined Long John Baldry's group, the Hoochie Coochie Men, where he honed his skills as a blues singer. It wasn't glamorous, but it was the first step toward a legendary career. Little did the world know that this skinny kid from London, with a love for football and second-hand suits, would soon become one of the biggest rock stars on the planet. By the late 1960s, Rod Stewart's gritty, soulful voice was starting to get attention in London's underground music scene. His next big break came in 1967, when legendary guitarist Jeff Beck invited him to join the Jeff Beck Group. With Stewart on vocals and Ronnie Wood on bass, the group brought raw energy to the stage, blending blues and hard rock in a way that was groundbreaking for the time. Their albums, Truth 1968 and Beck Ola 1969, showcased Stewart's incredible vocal range from tender ballads to explosive rock numbers. Critics took notice. Audiences were mesmerized. Rod Stewart was no longer just a club singer. He was becoming a star. But Stewart's journey didn't stop there. In 1969, after leaving the Jeff Beck Group, he joined forces with Ronnie Wood again, this time in the band Faces, with their rowdy performances, boozy antics, and infectious rock anthems. Faces quickly became known as one of the most exciting live acts of the era. Rod's raspy voice gave Faces its signature sound on songs like Stay With Me, while his cheeky personality made him the heart of the group. Concerts were wild, unpredictable, and electric a perfect reflection of Rod's rock and roll spirit. At the same time, Stewart launched his solo career, balancing his band duties with recording his own material. His first solo albums, like An Old Raincoat, Won't Ever Let You Down, and Gasoline Alley, showed his versatility as an artist, blending folk, blues, and rock influences. And then came the turning point, 1971's Every Picture Tells a Story. The album included Maggie May, the song that would catapult Rod Stewart to superstardom. A surprise hit, Maggie May topped charts in both the UK and the US, turning Rod into an international star almost overnight. The combination of his solo success and his time with Faces gave him the platform he needed. By the early 1970s, Rod Stewart was no longer a hungry young singer trying to prove himself. He was a force in the music industry, a rising star with the world at his feet. But with fame came new temptations, fast cars, beautiful women, and the start of a playboy lifestyle that would make him just as famous off stage as he was on it. By the mid-1970s, Rod Stewart was unstoppable. He had it all, chart-topping hits, screaming fans, and the kind of charisma that made him one of the most recognizable figures in rock. After the success of Maggie May, Rod's solo career soared. Albums like Never a Dull Moment and Smiler cemented his status as a hitmaker. His sound was evolving, moving from folk rock into more mainstream pop and soul influences. But his voice remained the centerpiece, raw, powerful, and unlike anyone else in the business. Rod wasn't just making music, he was living the ultimate rock star lifestyle. His fashion sense was bold, leopard print jackets, tight pants, flashy scarves, and his signature spiky blonde hair. He stood out everywhere he went, a true style icon of the 70s. In 1975, Stewart made a bold career move, relocating from the UK to the United States. He signed with Warner Brothers Records, and his next albums, Atlantic Crossing and A Night on the Town, were massive commercial successes. Songs like Sailing and Tonight's the Night became international hits, played on radios from London to Los Angeles. But it was the late 70s that would give Rod Stewart one of his most controversial and iconic moments. In 1978, he released Do You Think I'm Sexy?, a disco-influenced track that divided critics but conquered the charts. The song hit #1 in multiple countries and became one of his signature hits. Fans danced, critics groaned, but one thing was clear: raw, powerful, and unlike anyone else in the business. Rod wasn't just making music, he was living the ultimate rock star lifestyle. His fashion sense was bold, leopard print jackets, tight pants, flashy scarves, and his signature spiky blonde hair. He stood out everywhere he went, a true style icon of the 70s. In 1975, Stewart made a bold career move, relocating from the UK to the United States. He signed with Warner Brothers Records, and his next albums, Atlantic Crossing and A Night on the Town, were massive commercial successes. Songs like Sailing and Tonight's the Night became international hits, played on radios from London to Los Angeles. But it was the late 70s that would give Rod Stewart one of his most controversial and iconic moments. In 1978, he released Do You Think I'm Sexy? A disco-influenced track that divided critics but conquered the charts. The song hit #1 in multiple countries and became one of his signature hits. Fans danced, critics groaned, but one thing was clear. Rod Stewart had mastered the art of reinvention. As the 1980s rolled in, Stewart embraced arena rock, releasing albums like Tonight I'm Yours and Camouflage. His tours sold out across the globe, with Rod performing in front of massive crowds who couldn't get enough of his energy, charm, and that unmistakable voice. His fame wasn't limited to music. The tabloids loved him, chronicling his romances with supermodels, his flashy cars, and his rock-and-roll antics. To many, Rod Stewart was the ultimate rock star, wild, flamboyant, but always entertaining. By the mid-1980s, Rod Stewart had firmly established himself not just as a singer, but as a global superstar. He had conquered multiple music styles, topped charts worldwide, and built an image that made him one of the most recognizable figures in pop culture. But with great fame comes great scrutiny. As the 80s continued, Rod would face criticism, personal challenges, and questions about whether he could stay true to his rock roots while chasing mainstream success. By the peak of his fame, Rod Stewart wasn't just a rock star, he was the definition of the rock and roll lifestyle. Everywhere he went, he carried an aura of excess. The clothes, the cars, the women, the parties. Rod was known as one of the ultimate playboys of the '70s and '80s. His romances with some of the most beautiful women in the world made constant headlines. From Swedish actress Britt Ekland to supermodel Alana Hamilton, Rod's love life became almost as famous as his music. Over the years, he would father 8 children with 5 different women, a testament to his wild, fast-moving life off stage. Cars were another passion. Rod's garages were filled with luxury, models from Lamborghinis to Ferraris, all reflecting his love for speed and flash. Just as he lived boldly in music, he lived boldly on the road. Cars were another passion. Rod's garages were filled with luxury, models from Lamborghinis to Ferraris, all reflecting his love for speed and flash. Just as he lived boldly in music, he lived boldly on the road. Fashion was also central to Rod Stewart's image. His style, flamboyant jackets, tight trousers, leopard print, and, of course, that spiky blonde hair became a trademark. He stood out not just because of his voice, but because of how he carried himself. But behind the headlines and the tabloid stories, Rod Stewart was also a family man in his own way. Despite his rock star reputation, he often spoke about how much he loved being a father and staying connected with his children. For Rod, life was about balance, enjoying the spotlight, but also finding time for the people who mattered most. As the 1980s continued, his fame didn't slow down. His concerts were spectacles, packed stadiums, screaming fans, and Rod strutting across the stage with his microphone stand, commanding the audience with ease. His voice, his energy, and his charisma made every performance unforgettable. Rod Stewart had become more than a singer. He was a global icon, the kind of star whose music, style, and lifestyle all merged into one unforgettable legacy. But even legends face storms, and as the '80s wore on, Rod would encounter new challenges, criticism about his music, health battles, and questions about whether he could continue. His reign as one of rock's greatest voices. By the mid to late 1980s, Rod Stewart's glittering career faced new storms. His disco flirtation with "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" had brought him commercial success, but it also sparked criticism. Many longtime fans accused him of abandoning his rock roots in favor of chasing trends. Critics labeled him a sellout, a claim that would follow him for years. But Rod was never one to dwell on negativity. He admitted openly that the song was written as a bit of fun, even donating much of its royalties to UNICEF. Still, the criticism left a mark, and he knew he would have to prove himself again. Health also became a major challenge. In the early 2000s, Rod was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, a frightening moment that threatened to silence the very voice that made him a star. After surgery, he had to retrain his vocal cords, relearning how to sing, a grueling process for an artist whose voice was his identity. On the personal front, his wild lifestyle caught up with him. Multiple divorces and the pressures of fame took their toll. Relationships came and went, and tabloids were never short of Rod Stewart headlines. Yet, through it all, he maintained his sense of humor and resilience. The music industry itself was changing. New genres dominated, from punk in the late 70s to new wave and electronic sounds. In the 80s, some wondered if Rod Stewart could adapt and stay relevant in a world that was evolving so quickly. By the mid to late 1980s, Rod Stewart's glittering career faced new storms. His disco flirtation with "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" had brought him commercial success, but it also sparked criticism. Many longtime fans accused him of abandoning his rock roots in favor of chasing trends. Critics labeled him a sellout, a claim that would follow him for years. But Rod was never one to dwell on negativity. He admitted openly that the song was written as a bit of fun, even donating much of its royalties to UNICEF. Still, the criticism left a mark, and he knew he would have to prove himself again. Health also became a major challenge. In the early 2000s, Rod, on the personal front, his wild lifestyle caught up with him. Multiple divorces and the pressures of fame took their toll. Relationships came and went, and tabloids were never short of Rod Stewart headlines. Yet through it all, he maintained his sense of humor and resilience. The music industry itself was changing. New genres dominated, from punk in the late 70s to new wave and electronic sounds. In the 80s, some wondered if Rod Stewart could adapt and stay relevant in a world that was evolving so quickly. But if history has shown us anything, it's that Rod Stewart has an uncanny ability to reinvent himself. Just when people thought his career might be fading, he would find a way to return than ever. Rod Stewart has always been a master of reinvention. Just when critics thought he was finished, he found new ways to surprise the world. In the 1990s, he shifted back to his roots, embracing classic rock ballads and timeless pop. Hits like "Rhythm of My Heart" and "Downtown Train" reminded fans that his voice was still unmatched, passionate, soulful, and instantly recognizable. But his biggest reinvention came in the 2000s. After surviving thyroid cancer and retraining his voice, Rod stunned the world with his Great American Songbook series. Across 5 albums, he covered classic jazz and swing, standards from the likes of Cole Porter and George Gershwin. No one expected the raspy rock star to pull it off, but the album sold millions, introduced him to a brand new audience, and even earned him a Grammy Award. Rod Stewart was no longer just a rock singer. He was a versatile interpreter of timeless music. Fans old and new embraced him once again. Beyond music, honors followed. In 2007, he was awarded a CBE by Queen Elizabeth II for services to music. Then, in 2016, he was officially knighted, becoming Sir Rod Stewart. It was a recognition not just of his longevity, but of his influence on British culture and global music. Even into his 70s, Rod Stewart has never slowed down. He continues to tour the world, packing arenas with fans who've grown up with him and younger generations who discovered him through their parents. His Las Vegas residencies have become legendary, showcasing his energy and charisma as if he never aged a day. His personal life, too, has found balance. After years of turbulent relationships, Rod married model Penny Lancaster in 2007, and the two have built a stable family life together. He still embraces fatherhood, proudly celebrating his large and blended family. Rod Stewart's Reinvention is proof that true legends don't fade away. They adapt, they evolve, and they keep finding ways to connect with the world. His career is not just about rock and roll glory. It's about survival, resilience, and the power of never giving up. Few artists in history have enjoyed the kind of career Rod Stewart has built. Over 6 decades, he has sold more than 250 million records worldwide, placing him among the best-selling artists of all time. His voice, gravelly yet soulful, is instantly recognizable, and his catalog of hits spans generations. Songs like Maggie May, Sailing, Forever Young, Tonight's the Night, and Do You Think I'm Sexy? Remain classics, still played on radios and streamed millions of times every year. His ability to move seamlessly between folk, rock, pop, disco, and even jazz standards shows just how versatile he truly is. But Rod Stewart's influence goes beyond music. His flamboyant style inspired countless rockers to embrace fashion as part of their image. His stage presence, confident, playful, and electric, set a template for frontmen around the world. Even younger artists today point to Stewart as proof that you can stay authentic while still evolving with the times. Rod's legacy is also one of survival. From humble beginnings in North London, through decades of fame, criticism, health battles, and personal challenges, he always found a way to rise again. His knighthood in 2016 cemented his status not just as a musician, but as a cultural treasure. Financially, Rod Stewart has done just as well. With an estimated net worth of around $300 million, he enjoys the rewards of a lifetime of success. His lavish lifestyle includes luxury homes in Los Angeles and the English countryside, a fleet of sports cars, and a love for model railways, a quirky hobby that shows the softer, more playful side of the rock legend. But perhaps Rod's greatest legacy is his ability to connect with people, whether singing to sold-out stadiums or crooning intimate ballads. He has a gift for making listeners feel every word. Generations have grown up with his music, and generations more will continue to discover it. Today, Rod Stewart stands as one of the last true rock icons, a man whose story is not just about music, but about perseverance, reinvention, and living life on his own terms. From the streets of North London to the grand stages of the world, Rod Stewart's journey is the story of a boy who dreamed big, lived loud, and never stopped singing. Through 6 decades, he's reinvented himself time and time again, from blues singer to rock star, from disco icon to crooner of timeless standards. He's faced criticism, heartbreak, and even life-threatening illness. Yet every challenge only made him stronger. Rod Stewart is more than just a musician. He is a survivor, a showman, and a legend whose voice continues to echo across generations. His story is a reminder that success isn't about playing it safe. It's about taking risks, embracing change, and staying true to who you are. Today, Sir Rod Stewart remains an icon, a knight of music, and a man who has given the world songs that will live forever. This has been Rod Stewart, the rock legend's story. And if there's one lesson his journey teaches us, it's this: true legends never fade, they just keep on singing.